Hey guys, I am driving to train a client. Then after that, teach my class Sunday, and I actually had a very late start. I was hoping to get up at 7:30 and go to the gym and put some stuff on eBay and hustle. But the last couple weeks, I've been fighting a huge headache. I think it's from my fight last month when I did a Muay Thai fight. I got knee and kicked in the head, and I'm a pretty small guy, and I fought someone a lot bigger than me. So I've been carrying this huge headache and it's throbbing, it's slowing me down. But I think my body just needed to rest also. I'm not doing stuff very physical, but I'm just very drained because I'm worried about a lot of things. So anyways, last night I got to hang up with a very famous instructor. His name's Abby Nadia. He does Israeli martial art. And we were just talking, and there was four other martial instructors there. And I was just talking about my life story and stuff like that. And they said I should write a book, and I said, yeah, I'm planning to write a book, but I'm not a writer. I can't write very well. But what I'm thinking is maybe I'll just shoot a lot of videos and eventually hire a writer to compile all my videos together and then make it into a book. Anyways, I want to talk about contrast, and uh, contrast basically is like dark and light or black and white. So the more extreme the contrast is, the more glaring your sensibility is. So for example, if something is like one shade off, you can't really tell. But if something is like 10 shade off, you can tell. So I've been listening to a lot of very successful entrepreneurs, um, Pedro Queroz, Greg Vanderchuck, and all these guys. And a lot of these guys are freaking immigrants. They come to America. They came to America when they were like 8 years old or 7 years old, and I came to Canada when I was 8.5. And one thing I can't kind of shake is just the anxiety of just not being able to. I always feel poor, and I think partly because I came to Canada very poor, and there was things that were never taught to me. Like my parents were tailor and seamstress. So my dad was a tailor, my mom was a seamstress, and we just worked all the time, and we didn't know how to make money work for us. And so recently I just started learning how to do that the last couple of years, and now I'm creating momentum. But I broke my arms, and now I'm not working, so I have a chance to kind of figure things out. At the same time, I'm like really stressed out about money because the only income I have right now is through my martial arts school. I don't have a part-time job, and I'm trying to make that leap from doing my martial arts school full-time and not doing my part-time job. And so, anyways, I want to talk about contrast because I was telling about me being a refugee, like a boat person, and being on a boat for like 7 days. And I was on this island called Palau Bidong, which is off the coast of Malaysia, and how my sister got sick and died. And she died at 2 years old. And Doctor Without Border, the ship was there off the coast of Palau Bidong, and one day she just never came back. So to this day, even when I talk about it, I still get a bit teary-eyed because at that time I think I was 6, maybe 5.5. I didn't come to Canada until I was 8.5, so maybe 6 years old. Yeah, 6 years old because I left Vietnam when I was 5, and I was in refugee camp for 2 years. And it's kind of. I mean, I didn't know my sister very well. I mean, I probably did, but I just, when you're 5 or 6, you don't remember a lot. And so imagine, I still remember my big boat. As a child, I remember this huge boat sitting off the island. Anyways, I want to talk about contrast. And basically, yesterday I was at the mall, and I just didn't want to shop anymore. I had no money. I didn't shop. I don't feel like shopping anymore. I used to just go to the clearance aisle and look for stuff on sale. And I'm not a very big guy, so it's hard to find clothes that fit me. So even now I get bored of shopping. And yesterday my wife and my daughter just shop, and I got really bored and I had a huge headache, so I just sat on the bench and uploaded videos, to try to get social validation on my social media and stuff. So I upload videos of people training, and I tag them, and I thank people for writing reviews and stuff like that. But what was strange was that once you're out of this, I call it hyper reality. I actually learned this from Mark Dacascos, and basically hyper reality is like a social construct, like a customary or tradition that's created by mankind. So, for example, hyper reality for human being is the weekdays. Like like you work Monday to Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday you have the days off. That's a hyper reality. And for us, we have all these hyper reality now. Like Christmas time, we're expected to spend all these money so that we can tell our loved one that we love them. Or, um, we're supposed to spend all these money that we don't have, and so that someone believes that we love them or care about them. And for me, I think to myself, you know what? I don't have a lot of money to give my wife and my daughter, but I show them I love them by hustling and busting my ass and making sure that my daughter always have nice clothes and always have something to eat. I don't have to spend all this money, and I try to tell my wife and daughter that they don't seem to get it. And and it came to a couple of weeks ago, I figured it out. I realized that most immigrants or refugees have a hard time relating to people who never struggle. It's because the contrast is so different. Like my daughter and wife never slept on a concrete floor. I was in jail for I think maybe a couple of weeks or 6 weeks. I can't remember. I was a little kid. But the first time we left Vietnam, we got caught, and my whole family was in jail. And my father did hard labor camp for 5 years. So I did not even see my father till maybe till I was like 13 or 14 years old. When he came to Canada, and you know, I remember on this island where we kind of have to fend for ourselves, and UNICEF came and gave us water and a can of rice, and the rest of the time we had to dig for wells, and we live in this little shitty, like metal roof hut, and we build like shitty houses and stuff. And then we got sponsored by Canada, and then we actually went to a refugee camp after that. And for 2 years, I didn't really have an education, and my existence involved playing with kids, climbing up the mountains, and scratching the sap of these gum trees and making them into gumballs. Those are my memories. And I didn't really get to leave this little enclosed area because that was a refugee camp. And for me, I remember sleeping on straw mats on a hardwood floor. There was no mattress. And for me, as a little child, I didn't know any better. I thought that was it. I remember being a boat person on a boat for 7 days. And basically, when we were on the island, when the Coast Guard finally capsized it on some coast of Malaysia, I forget where. The Coast Guard took us in and gave us food, and the food was in a plastic bag, maybe a Ziploc bag, with a boiled egg and some rice. And to this day, it was the best meal I ever had because because I was so hungry for 7 days. So can you imagine a boiled egg and a bag of rice in a Ziploc bag? And I mean, it was kind of bland, but for me, it was the greatest food I ever had. It was because the contrast. I went from not eating anything to eating just a steamed bag of rice and a boiled egg. So yesterday I was at this mall, and half the malls like were off, and this mall was so big. It was Eastview Mall, and no one told us that there was a power outage, and so all these shoppers just walking around, and I parked my car in this part of the mall that had a power outage, and I didn't know that. And so by the time I walked there, half about 10 shops were closed down, the restaurant closed down, and people were so casual about it. People weren't panicking and stuff. And I quickly called my wife and said, hey, you know what? This part of the mall is shut down. Please do not walk through this mall. I don't know what's going on. Because I was leaving, I had to meet with Avi. And I said, please be careful, and people were just very nonchalant. And I would sit and I would watch people shop, and they would just shop very nonchalantly. It's just, I think what happened is human beings are programmed to be consumers. I mean, we're programmed to always want easy things. And once you understand that life is more about being a consumer, life is more about just wanting beautiful clothes or having good food to eat, then you're not fascinated by these things. Like, to be honest, I haven't really bought new clothes in so long. I might buy stuff in the clearance aisle, and that's about it. And it got to a point in my life where I don't really need anything. The only thing I want is freedom to pursue what I want, which is teach martial art, maybe write a book, maybe sit and read. That's all I want. Like, that's I'm the most happy when I can do that. I actually don't even need beautiful clothes. I don't even need a nice car. I just need a car that can get me from point A to point B without breaking down. So, getting back to contrast, and so my wife and dad just don't understand. They tell me I'm a Grinch. They tell me I'm cheap. They tell me I'm, I lack the holiday spirit. And I try to tell them I don't need any of that. You got to be very careful about how the educational system or how the society programs and brainwash you. I left a teaching job. I was a teacher assistant at a public school for about 10 years, and I left about 5 years ago. And just before I left, the school board told all the gave free Wi-Fi in the school and told the kids that they can bring tablets and smartphone because they think that the kids will do their homework on a smartphone. And ironically, I taught in the computer lab for 10 years at the school district, and I told the teachers that no, that doesn't work like that. The kids do not do that. It's actually better to be more tactile and write on a piece of paper, draw on a piece of paper, because your mind has a better connection than tap, tap, tap on a phone. Because your mind can't understand, because it's the same tap, tap, tap. And so your mind doesn't understand that you're creating different neurons versus when you write and stuff, right? But she didn't understand that. The stupid principal said, "Oh, I write essays on my phone." I'm like, "You don't write fucking essays on your phone. You don't write email. You write like little short messages. You're never gonna compose a beautiful manuscript or a beautiful story, you know." And so what's happening is that they're teaching kids to be entertained and constantly consumed by this entertainment, this lifestyle of, of wanting easy life. And so you got to be very careful that you don't fall into this trap where you work so that you can be entertained. You work so you can just be consumed. You know what I mean? Um, we're more than that. And so getting to 2 points, I've been thinking a lot about, like just my relation to different people. And I look at why I think differently or why I see things differently. And I think partly because at such a young age, I witnessed and experienced all these things. And therefore, I see the world differently. And I've been there. I've been where I was so poor, like I had nothing. And on top of that, I was a struggling art student. I didn't have any money to go to art school. So I basically went to art school, and then from like 8:30 in the morning till like 3:30, and then I would work from 5 to midnight, and I did that for 3 years, and I would survive on Wednesday or whatever day it was. I would buy like six Whoppers because on certain days Whoppers were on sale, and I would eat that for 2 days. You know, I would survive on hot dogs and spaghetti and soy sauce because that's all I can afford. Even hot dogs, I didn't buy the best hot dogs. Um, I was in this very controlling church group, almost cult like, and basically I would share a house with five other guys, and all I had was a mattress, and I threw the mattress down. That's how I slept. And I got up. I went to work from like 5 to midnight, so maybe 5 to 10, 11. Then I come home by midnight, and what I would do is I would sleep for maybe till 6, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll get up and I'll do my homework till 8, and then I'll take a quick shower. Then I'll jump onto the subway, and my subway ride was like 45 minutes long. And then I'll do my reading or do my homework in the subway ride, and I did that for 3 years. And I might shoot a video talking about my time in this really controlling cult group, and what I observed and what I saw, and the personalities that were exhibited in these groups, and system of behaviors. Anyways, sorry for rambling, but I just like to talk about things on my mind because I feel I have a very interesting story to tell. And if you guys like it, please thumbs up. And um, yeah, so getting back to it again, it's about contrast, and don't get too comfortable. I mean, learn to live a hard life. That way, you can really enjoy the small things, the
the small little things. If all you have is good life, then you want better and better life, and eventually it's going to enslave you.